Shalom Aleichem Rabbi said we're back with Hachzik, and today we're going to finish up Mishnah Yud and continue on to Mishnah Yud Aleph. Zog the Mishnah vehevi mischamim keneged uron shel chachomim. Warm yourself up in front of keneged uron shel chachomim, the fire of the chachomim. Vehevi zar begachaltan, but be careful with their coals, with their the hottest part of the fire. Sheloi sikaveh. So that you don't get burnt. Shenishichasam neshichas shual v'akitzasan akitzas akrav ulechishasam lechishas sorof v'chol devreim kegachali eish. L'maisa, we have to be mistabek with Talmidei Chachamim. We have to get close to the Torah, and v'yimayir rabach kemayir shamayim. That's the closest thing we have to getting close to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'devakta boy, Chazal say that's, how do you mekayim v'devakta boy? You have to be close to Talmidei Chachamim, but it, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Let's see the Rabbeinu Yoina. Maybe I'll share with you, some personal experiences as well. Okay. Ve'vi mischamim keneged uron shel Chachamim keneged uron v'loy karov. Keneged uron, stay, opposite the fire. Don't get too close. Vehevi zor migachaltan sheloi sikave mashal lemischam keneged ur. A person who's standing by a fire, by a campfire or something like that. Im amad beracha karoy. If you stood far enough, nimtze nene ve'ina nichve. You're getting hana from the fire, you're warming up, and you don't get burnt. Ve'im korav yoiser midai. But if you get too close, nimtze nichve. You will become burnt. Ken mischam keneged uran shel chachamim. You must stand before them with ema, yira, and koived roish. Be careful. Don't be, kal with them. Treat them like any one of your friends. This is very important. Don't bring yourself close on your own. Let them be makar of you. I once said pshat. I had a very big problem. I'm very close with one of my Rebbeim, Rabbi Brazil, and I always wanted to flatter myself and say my Rebbe's a Talmud of Rav Olba. But he, when he gave Vadim in the Mir in Rappaport, if anybody remembers those days, so my good friend, my Chashiva friend, Reb David Lavon, used to be in charge of the Chabura, the Vad, and he wanted to make signs. And, when you make signs, you have to, you're trying to invite new people. And he wanted to make it a catchy thing. He wanted to be exciting for people. So he wanted to put Rabbi Brazil's Vad, Talmud of Revolba. And in those days, Rabbi Brazil did not allow that to happen. He never allowed himself to carry that title of a Talmud of Revolba. And it was always strange for us because everything he said was from Revolba. Every shmooze was from Alishur, basically, and his own Torah and his own Havanas and his own, occurrences that he had with the Mashgiach. Like, he educated us, from that. And it was always strange. I was, well, why is he not a Talmud of Revolba? Why is he so makpid on it? And then I realized that the pshat is that, Chazal say, Talmidim hareim kebanim. Now, you can't choose your father. Your father makes you. He birthed you into the world, right? Your mother and your father, they are your parents, not because you chose to be their son. You can't choose to be somebody's son. They have to make you, and they have to give you that title. The title of a son, the title of a Talmud, must come from the Rebbe, not from the son. So you have to, be as close as you can, as far as you can. But kama sheyakrivuhu, shehikrivuhu, al yikrav lem yoser mimashem yakrivuhu. You have to do your part, and you want to be close, and they will go that extra mile. They will give you that title. You can't make up that title. So Rebbe Brazil, as close as he was with, the Mashgiach, it was just, the Mashgiach had to, the Mashgiach decided. He never had a personal chavrus shaf, maybe, with the Mashgiach, especially not for 25 years, like Rav Leuchter, for example. he wasn't given that. He wasn't given that. So he doesn't take it. He, only as much as the Rebbe was makar of me. Okay, but that doesn't mean that he's not your Rebbe. Meaning there is like two dinim over here. There's something called a Talmud, and that comes from the Rebbe. The Rebbe gives that chalois, gives that stamp. But just because I wasn't given the stamp of a Talmud doesn't mean he's not my Rebbe. And Memela, everything I say comes from my Rebbe, right? So maybe he's not a Talmud, but his Rebbe was for sure, Ravolba. Now, it's very hard to write that on a sign, right? So better just to write Rabbi Brazil's Vad is, going to be that. And that was what he wanted. Because, it is what it is. He's my Rebbe. But I wasn't Zoicha to that level of a Talmud. Okay, that's an important point. This midah of, jumping the gun and getting too close will end up giving you an oynish, and it makes you further away from them. You will get burnt, and they'll throw you to the dogs. Okay? And especially if you do something wrong. Okay? I just want to, bring out, lahamchish esadovar, the mushal of a fire. I'm very into fires. I make I made a fire pit outside in my backyard. We have a fireplace and we use it. A lot of people don't use their fireplace, but we enjoy that. It's a nice family thing. So I make fires all the time. Okay, and we made a fire, a big one. For Lag Baimer this year. I never made such a big fire before. And you're manning the fire, making sure everything's safe and geschmack. And it was a big fire. It was a strong fire. Like there was a lot of coals, on the bottom, and it got very hot. And it was the first time it ever happened to me. Like I got a little bit too close, and I burnt my glasses, like crazy. Like you can enjoy the fire, it's great, but if you get too close, you will burn. Like the film on the outer film on the lens burnt. I thought I lost my eyesight for a second. I took my glasses off. My eyes were fine, but when I put my glasses on, I was seeing blurry until I noticed that there was a film, like an outer film, on the glass part of the glasses, and it burnt. It was the craziest thing, and I had to go and buy new lenses, and it was an experience. I never actually got burnt by a fire from getting close. Again, I didn't get hurt or anything like that. My glasses burnt. The outer film burnt. You get too close to the fire, you will get burnt, and it's not geschmack, okay? Not geschmack at all. So that's just on the mushal part. Okay, let's go weiter. Okay, so you could just take the Mishnah's word for it. You don't want to mess around with Talmidei Chachamim, and of course you're not gonna mess around with a Talmid Chacham. But I just want to show you how it could happen, without you knowing that it happens. Unfortunately, I lived through such an experience, or maybe fortunately, like I know firsthand what this means. I got yelled at by really big people. I got slammed by really big people because my nature is a very, friendly and close type of nature, and also I stepped over boundaries. You don't tell somebody what to do, even if you have a good idea, and maybe they'll be more successful, this way. You really have to be careful, okay? Because they will be makar of you, and they will ask you for eitzes sometimes, because they know that they're from a different world, a different generation, and stuff like that. Take it easy. Take it easy. Talk. You have to be very careful. It's a real michshol, and it could happen, and they'll blow up at you, and they'll and they can bite. Okay, so be very careful with that. Lamashal, it would happen. Let's say your Rebbe's from Eretz Yisrael, and he's an old-fashioned person, and he's coming to America. He needs help, and you're a very close Talmud, and you love him dearly, and he will come close to you because he knows that you are emotionally connected with his yeshiva, or with his derech, or with his motive, or with his project and stuff like that, and he can trust you, and he will put his trust in you, and at that point, you have to be very careful, because you're here to help the man. You're here to, you're full. It's a full donation on your part. You're like really invested in him, in his motive, and you want to help. But sometimes when you want to help too much, you start talking a lot, and then you can get into trouble. So he's going to ask you for help, and you'll give it to him. But everything has to be with a tremendous yira, ema, kovid roish, because if you go too far, they will feel, uncomfortable, and they will, they'll ram you into the wall. So be very careful with that, because you don't want to lose the kesher. I experienced this with a giant of giants, and I'm still, tearing kriya on the fact that, like, just recently, you know, I was, I felt the richuk, okay, because I messed up at a certain thing, and it was the first time I ever ignored a phone call, and I still have charata for ignoring that phone call, and I hope and pray that, he understands, that I had to do it, type of thing. It still hurts me, and this happened months and months ago. I had to do it because I messed up, and I felt uncomfortable, and I'm devastated about that. Don't let it happen, okay? Because it hurts, because you had a relationship with in Adam Gadol Ad Moed, and it had to end in a bad way, or not. It didn't end in a bad way. I don't think that if I met him in person, or if I came to visit, and it would be a cold shoulder. Maybe it would, but having to not answer that phone call really hurt my feelings, because I didn't know how to face him, because I sort of let him down, or I didn't live up to an expectation, or whatever it is. You don't want it to happen, because don't let it go there. So just be careful, okay? Maybe you can outsmart that. He's an old guy, old generation. The mahalach nowadays, right? You can whisper to the nachash, and he doesn't bite you. No, Talmidei Chacham are even, more aggressive than a snake. Ein adavar kain el nishichas and nishichas nachash u'lechishas and lechishas saraf. They can chap. They know what's going on, and they have a mahalach. So don't try to outsmart them. Asher lo yishma lekol melachshim v'chol devreim kegachlei eish shelo tachlik al devreim v'loymar. Don't argue with them. Ki gam yesh biru achaim es svaras kamoyu. I can do just like him. Ve'ein chachma beyadecha upentechta b'svarasecha. You're not that smart. Ki divreim bechidud uvepilpul mesibas chachmas masirefes bekirbam. They are not stam, okay? They didn't reach to become, groisa Talmidei Chachamim, just mabakach. They are geniuses, okay? And they have the chachmas HaTorah in them. And they're very, very, very smart, very thought out. There was once, with the elections a bunch of years ago with Rabbi Leib and Shmuel Auerbach, and it was a whole shaila. Rabbi Leib was getting old and stuff like that. Rabbi Leib was betukfoi ad yom moisoi, and they're really, really smart people. Okay, don't think you can outsmart them, so quickly, even at their old age. This last thing is not one of the three things that we started off in the mission. That's probably why Hachsek split it up. He didn't have to say this every day. Pam achas. Especially if you have a maisa from your own life. Okay, so you don't have to chazer this over too many times. So that's the end of Mishnah Yud. Yud Aleph. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Ayin Hora Perush Misheinu Sameach V'Chalkoi. Now, right? So we said before the first person was Ayin Ro'o, and we'll see the Rabbeinu Yoina is makes the diuk. Over here it's Ayin Ro, Ayin Hora, and before it was Ayin Ra, right? Rabbi Lezer said Ayin Toiva, and this is Ayin Hora. Yeah, let's see. Perish Misha Eina Sameach B'Chalkoi. That's what the Rishonim said in the last Mishnah. V'oyein es Chavera he'osher memenu masa yasher kamoi. When am I going to be like the other guy? V'goyrem ra la'atzmai, number one, v'la Chaveroi, and to the other one. Kasher Omru Chachmei Teva Hachoy min Mikol Asher L'Reyeyu. Somebody who dreams about whatever the other guy has. Avir oila min machshavai. Okay, there is a spirit that goes out, like a ruach that comes out from this machshava. V'soyer v'sadvarim she'ian bohen be'enora, and it burns it up. Okay, gam kirba yisarif. Even your insides will become burnt, and even though you had epis the koiches to achieve that goal, you just burnt it all up. Achar she'misavel advarim she'ein shaloi. You had the yecholos to do it. Hamachshava hi mekalkeles is gufay hu. It's mekalkel the guf. Ki yiskatzer ruchay u'metziyose min ha'olam. So that's what it means. Moitzian is ha'odam min ha'olam. This is like weird stuff, but as zakna, V'zeu ayin hara she'omer Rabbi Yeshua. This is the ayin hara that Rabbi Yeshua was talking about. And raya lepirizeh al she'omer b'kan ayin hara b'lshon zachar shehu ha'oyen bero. Ulamalo amru ayin ra. That's ezu derech yirchak mimenu adam. Ayin ra without the hay. Shepirashnu al midas akilus. Shaliki divrei k'tasam mefarshim. Right, the Rishonim that he brought down before. V'yetzer hara v'sinas abriyos moitzinas adam min olam. Okay, the Rebbeinu Yonah doesn't explain that. I think it's self-explanatory, but you could be myrach on that Inyan as well. But we will stop here. Okay, be well.